Yeah, it's just a lot of excitement, and I think that we feel that in a lot of phases. I think we feel it with the fans and the buzz going around. We feel it in the clubhouse with the players. We feel it with the coaching staff, the scouting department, and so there's a lot of excitement. And now it's going to be our job to get off, get going, build these guys up healthily, and then we've got to gel together as a group and come together with some new faces joining the team.
Last one, just a quick nuts and bolts question. Is everyone there that is supposed to be there at this point, and is everyone healthy?
Yeah, right now, everybody that we're expected to be here so far is here. And like I said earlier, they're still going through their physicals and all those things. And a big majority of the guys have done all the intake screening and all that. So there's a lot of moving parts, and right now everything looks good.
Thanks, Jayce. Have a great spring.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, next we'll go to AJ Cassaville, MLB.com.
Hi, Jayce. Good to see you.
AJ, good seeing you as well.
How does this camp, from what you expect, how might it be different from years past? You've been to these a million times, but how is this one different given the constraints of the pandemic and obviously aside from maybe some of the protocols and the fans?
Yeah, I think you mentioned two points there that are certainly going to be different. I would say the biggest thing is going from 60 games now to 162, and what are all the questions there? I think pitchers, arm safety is going to be critical, and like I mentioned earlier, how do we build these guys up properly and get off and going? I think in 2021. Certainly with the pandemic, the challenge of 162 games after playing 60, et cetera, I think there's going to be real value in depth overall, pitching, position players, organizational depth. And so I think we've got to spend a lot of time making sure that maybe historically you would spend time with 38, 40 guys. I think now it's probably very critical that we spend a lot of time, put in time with individual plans with everybody here, and making sure, because we don't know what's going to happen with the jump of games, and just the importance of having as many guys ready if the opportunity comes up.
Have you seen Dinelson Lamet throw yet, and what's his status at this point in spring?
I've only seen it on video right now, but he's here. He's doing his physicals, and he's been throwing his bullpens. He's been doing everything that our trainers and pitching coaches have recommended, and so each guy is going to be a little bit individual with their buildup. So he's going to be a guy that we're going to go kind of step by step and make sure we're good to go. But right now we feel really good about where he's at, and he's going to be throwing his bullpens and building up from there.
All right, next we'll go to Bryce Miller.
Hey, Jayce, welcome back. Question about, there was so much focus in the offseason organizationally about building rotation depth, and given the situation with Dinelson Lamet and Chris Paddack, trying a little unsure what you might get there in year 3. How many have you projected out? How many innings you need out of Blake Snell? You want out of Blake Snell? How important is it, with depth being a priority, that you get extended innings that he didn't have in Tampa?
Yeah, we haven't really talked about any type of limitations or putting a cap on really any of the guys. Now, that may be something that we may do, moving forward, but right now we really haven't. Our main focus has been on tracking what they've been doing the months of December, January, February up to this point, understanding where they're at, and then making sure that we have eyes on them and that they don't step on the gas, I guess, too early is would be my point. So that's been more of our focus right now. He's going to throw his bullpen, I believe, it's either tomorrow or Friday. And we have some guys that have been facing hitters, been doing some live BP. I think it's pretty critical that all our guys, Larry, Fritz, the pitching coaches, the trainers, the scouts, that we get eyes on them, during their bullpens before we kind of go to those next steps. So right now, no, that we haven't really discussed any limitations. What we've been or caps on guys, we've been discussing how do we build a big group up. And just like I said earlier, we want to just give them a clean, runway that they can take off on.
Tampa crunched the numbers and decided not to use him the third time through the rotation a lot. What's your confidence level that third time through the rotation and beyond, given conversations you've had with him, maybe a little bit of film you've watched, that extended possible role with you guys?
Yeah, well, my opinion of Snell when, he's healthy and he's right and everything's going, I think he's one of the best pitchers, in the game. So I think ultimately we've got a lot of confidence that he'll be capable of doing that. But that's something that we've got to work up to, that's something that, right off the bat, is that, going to happen? I think we need to be, smart on building him up and building him up properly.
Quick one off topic and I'll let you go, but how important was it to build collective plate discipline last year in terms of how that was a game changer for you guys, and how did you build it through the lineup like that?
Yeah, I think it's critical, and it's something that we want to continue to work on and continue to improve. And while we made strides in that area, I still think there's more room for growth. I think there's still more room for improvement, and so that's going to be one of the staples that we do, is how do we manage the strike zone, the ability to lay off pitches outside, and the ability to win 2-2 pitches, move them to 3-2, and ultimately win a 3-2 pitch. Either get barrel to it or take ball 4. Ultimately, that's our goal.
Thank you.
Next up, Barry Bloom.
Hey, Jayce, how are you?
I'm well, Barry. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So just a quick question here on what they're doing with the ball. Well, this slightly lighter ball that's supposed to travel a little bit less, do you know have any idea what kind of impact that's going to have both on the game and maybe strategy on how hitters swing at pitches? What's your opinion of it?
Well, I don't think we're ultimately going to know till we get out there and play, but I can tell you by grabbing, the ball and have it in my hand and, play and catch with it compared to last year's ball, at least for myself, I couldn't notice anything. Now, that's not to say, a pitcher or somebody picks it up, this feels different, anything like that. I can just say, from myself, my experience playing catch with it, moving around the hand, I didn't notice anything different. But we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see how the bullpens go. We'll wait and see how BP goes, and then ultimately get out into the game. So, Major League Baseball is telling us there's really not going to be, much of a difference. We, take their word for it. Where the ball maybe isn't traveling a foot, 2 feet, 3 feet, further at 375 feet. But ultimately, we're going to get out there and we're going to play with it. But do I expect any real change or anything noticeable? I don't, but that's not to say that won't happen.
I guess what they're saying is it's going to travel a couple of feet less, not more. So, I mean, wouldn't that have an effect ultimately as you're playing through on launch angle and approach to the plate and how a hitter swings? If suddenly a guy's going to lose 2 or 3 feet towards the fence on a ball?
I mean, ultimately, I think some of those balls, if you're talking, a couple feet, you're talking balls at the warning track, you're talking, a ball that barely clears. I think there's a huge majority of home runs that are clearing by, 10 to 50, plus feet. And so I'm guessing that's really not going to have, much of effect. It's probably going to be more of the balls that barely get out, the balls that are up against the wall, the warning track, et cetera. And again, we're probably really not going to know until, we get out there and get going.
Great. Good luck. I hope to see you soon in person again.
All right, Barry. Take care.
Next, we'll go to Annie Halburn.
Hey, Jayce, not that you need to change anything, but is there anything in your reflection over the offseason from spring training last year, or just in the managing style or the coaching staff? Anything that you're doubling down on or that you're really wanting to change going into this camp, or besides the technicalities of like the 162 game season and arm strength for pitchers and things like that?
Yeah, I think, our fundamentals and our core beliefs are, gonna stay the same. The things that we're gonna be harping on, look, we want to win the battle at the strike zone each night. And that's a hard battle, but that's a battle that we want to train, we want to prepare for. We're not just talking, I talked briefly earlier on offensively, but that's also on the mound as well. The ability to get ahead, stay ahead, put them away. And so while we did well in that in some areas, I don't, know what we were last year, if we were fourth or fifth in strikeouts, fourth or fifth in walks. So we did well, but we do believe that that's an area we can grow as well. So the battle to win the strike zone each night is going to be one of the things that we're harping on constantly.
Darnay Tripp. You're on mute, Darnay.
Jayce, great to see you. Hope you're doing well. Curious if you could take us back to late December, early January, when the conversations are happening, the moves are being made, what it was like to kind of be in your position, watching your team go from a good team to a really, really good team.
Yeah, ton of excitement, and these things they don't just happen. They've we had talked about it for weeks, months, etc. And so when it started to get, really close and kind of down where you could see the finish line, just a lot of excitement. And then, the deals are done, and, the reality is you're never done. AJ is never done. We're constantly looking to, add depth, improve the team, etc. So while we feel good about where we're at, right now we're still going to be looking to improve, and that'll be all throughout the season. So that part really never stops. But it is nice to be able to address some areas that or needs on the team. And we think we've done that, and now we've got to get these guys ready and get them prepared, and that's going to be our job, to get them prepared physically, mentally, and then also the chemistry side, and get these guys working together, knowing one another, and just building strong relationships as well.
You might have just touched on it there, but obviously this is a good place to be, but it comes with its own set of challenges when there is the amount of hype and you guys are going to have the full attention of everybody you face. What's the challenge now, I guess, specifically for you going forward with a collection like that and all that's surrounding this team?
Well, I think, a challenge, something that we've done a pretty good job of in the past, but we've just got to eliminate noise, and there's going to be, maybe more attention than we've had in the past, which is great. We've got to eliminate that, and it's gonna be our jobs. Like, we've got to master ourselves, and we've got to master our game, and we can't worry about the things on the outside. And we feel we've got enough talent in the room, but we feel if we're preparing, we're concentrating, we're working hard. If we can stay focused on playing our brand of baseball, we feel good about where the outcome could be.
Thank you, Jayce.
Next, we'll go to Jorge Camacho.
Morning, Jayce. I want to ask you, do you have a different feeling about the first day of spring training compared to your first year? It's better feeling than the last year?
I don't know about the feeling. It's just more, maybe if there is a feeling, it's not being able to see people face to face, in a while. So I think like just that personal connection, and seeing the group kind of get together, and obviously the big majority are the pitchers and catchers. So I just think that excitement. Yesterday we spent some time with the coaching staff, the organizational in general, and the majority of the call was on Zoom, but it was just really good having the coaches in the same room, face to face, being able to connect. So I think that part was different, but that was a good thing.
And if I may, when you knew about the new pitchers coming to the potential rotation, then you started to think or imagine how could be the rotation this season, or it's just waiting for spring training?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you go through things, in your head. I think the good thing is we've got a lot of options. And so we got to get off. We got to get going. We got to get, these bullpens going into live BPs, into games. And then, once we start checking some things off the box a little bit, that's probably where more of the serious discussion of, where guys line up in the rotation, in the bullpen, et cetera. So we've still got quite a few things we've got to check off before we can really get down that road.
All right, thank you. Good luck your first day.
Thank you.
Time for a few more questions. We'll go to Dennis Lin.
Hi, Jayce. With all the questions this year about pitcher workloads and just ramping up to 162, how concerned are you about the possibility that your starting pitchers have to bat for themselves, especially with a guy like Blake Snell coming over from the AL?
That's a good question. Yeah, concerned for sure. That's very real. Some of the pitchers that been in the American League or even the National League, they haven't hit in 2 years, so that's definitely a concern. We're going to be prepared. We're going to be prepared on all fronts. We enjoy the National League style game. But we're totally flexible. We feel that we can go both ways. But to answer your question, yeah, there is some concern for sure. But we've got to start. We've got to start. Day one of building these guys up. Whether that's running the bases, whether that's bunting, and starting a progression to swing the bat. But I'd be lying to you if I said no, we're not concerned at all. That's very real. And I think it's important. I think it's important for the game of baseball. Obviously, we're having way too many arm injuries. You're having too many star pitchers, too many good pitchers. They're missing time. And so I just think it's great for the sport to keep your players healthy on the field. I think it's great for the sport. I think it's great for fans. And so it's something that we do not take lightly.
Do you still have much hope personally that the universal DH still might happen at some point for opening day?
They're telling us to prepare as if it is not, and so that's what we're planning to do the next 6 weeks. And if something was to change, we feel that we're a very flexible organization, a very flexible club, and we could adapt very quickly if that was to change. But right now, we're preparing as if Major League Baseball told us that it's not going to happen.
Thanks, Jayce.
Marty Caswell.
Good to see you, Jayce. I know you missed all these Zooms. What does Yu Darvish bring to this team?
Well, he brings a ton of experience. He brings a unique background. He was dominated over in Japan, and obviously his story is pretty unique. And came over here to the States. Has had a ton of success. Maybe the most success he has had is been within the last year and a half. He's overcome injury, but what does he bring? He's such a unique person. He's a big man. He's 6'6". He's flexible. He's so unique. He long tosses with both arms, left and right-handed. He is, in my opinion, right now, he's probably the best at manipulating the baseball and getting the ball to move at different directions. And now he's built up a lot of experience in this league. He knows how to attack hitters. He knows himself. So I think he's going to be able to bring not only quality innings, but a lot of experience over, not only to bring to our pitchers, some that are on the staff, but also to young pitchers, and just be able to share how he's been able to do it.
And if what is it that you want to see from Chris Paddack this spring?
I want to see him take his off-season workout into these bullpens, into the live BP, and into these games. So, I think it starts with, his fastball and being able to get that ride, that hop on the fastball. And when he's doing that, his changeup plays extremely well, and then be able to mix his other pitches in, whether that's the cutter or the curveball. So, I'm excited where he's at, and I just want to see him transition that work and take it out to the field here in Arizona.
Thank you.
AJ Cassavell.
Jayce, you've got a couple guys who have closed before. Looks like you might be adding a couple more. How do you generally view this bullpen race and kind of the depth of arms you have down there, and potentially a race for a closer role? Is that a thing that you view as important, or what? Just overall your take on the bullpen race this spring?
Well, I do believe that we've got a lot of guys that have done it or are capable of doing it. And I always think it's good to have options and a ton of flexibility, and that's what we have. So we're not committed to anything, right now. We want to make sure, like I stated earlier, we've got to get through. We've got to check some things off the boxes. And get into games and get going, and then we'll have an open competition. But I do believe we've got guys that are more than capable of doing it. And once we get to that point and we're starting to get closer to the regular season, that's when we're going to have those discussions on roles and things like that. But I will say we're incredibly open-minded. We're not pot committed to one way or anything like that right now, and we're going to stay extremely flexible.
All right, and last up, we will go to Jeff Sanders.
Hey, Jayce. I wonder if you could tell us if Luis Campisano is in camp and what his status is.
Yeah, he is in camp, and he's had a great off-season workout. He's been down here for a couple weeks now. Him and Nola have kind of teamed up this off season, and they've had some good workouts together, and so he's healthy and good to go. And we don't expect any limitations going forward. So we feel good about where he's at and his situation.